Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm so excited for tonight's show. It was one of those strange experiences preparing for this show where there was kind of just this smooth calm. And what I mean by that is sometimes spirit will have plans and things that they wish to talk about. So let's get into it. And I just want to thank everyone for being here. I can see your beautiful familiar faces, and thank you for also liking, sharing, and subscribing. And yeah, hopefully we get some more fairies. We did capture one the other day with Julie and Elena as well. So I will also, I've edited that to try and slow it down because one of you lovely viewers also drew to my attention the timestamp. I'm just trying to think of your name. Sorry, but thank you for letting me know. Okay, so let's get into it. So we're going to talk about Creatrix realities and escaping illusion. Now, the reason that this topic came up was I had a session with a client, and there was something I'd never seen before that came up in the session. With if you would like a booking with Sophie or myself, and please use Jupiter in all caps to receive 10% off. Our Mother's Day sale has just finished, but we do have gift cards and things that are available as well. And the other thing I just wanted to show you guys is all of the wonderful shows that we have coming up as well. So the girls are going to do one, Julie and Elena, on abundance soon. I can't wait for that one. That is going to be so amazing. And yeah, we've got some new moon and full moon ones if you've missed them, some picker cards with Sophie, and we've also got the Astro and Tarot shows as well. So do check that out. Make sure to check out your sun, moon, and rising. And yeah, please hit that notify button to make sure that you do get notified of upcoming shows as well. So let's get into the topic for tonight. So we're talking about realities, we're talking about timelines, we're going to be talking about a few of the Marvel movies and things like that as well. So for those of you that are fans of some of those cool timeline type ones, this is going to be exciting. And yeah, please do hit the likes. We do appreciate that. So I've got tons and tons of notes, as you can see, for tonight's show. So let me just bring up our first slide. So this was from just a few days ago when I was with Elena and Julie. And here we go. Oh, I think I just saw something fly past then. Let me see if I can bring this up into full screen and play this for you guys. Have a look. It's going to appear just around my head and then sort of come around the front. You can see it looks like arms, legs, and a body as well. Hey, Shirley. Lovely to see you here. So check this out. I've put it in slow-mo. So you can see just near my head, and it's just gone right near my shoulder. So I'll bring that back up again, and we'll bring it back to the start. So just looking around the top of my head, and you'll see it appear near the window pane. There we are, and over my head. So we're getting more and more things like this. And I do believe that some of this is to do with the energy of all of us together. So it's so exciting that we have things like that. So I can see Deb saying dragonfly shape. So this is inside my house. There's no dragonflies inside the house, and the dragonflies that we have over here are more kind of like a bluey or a black type color. So even the ones that I filmed outside, the fairies, the last lot too, and I can see Julie likes that one as well. Yeah, it's really, really cool. Oh, that's so cute. Tim's saying that I'm the fairy queen. My partner and I were joking about this last night because they just keep showing up more frequently, you know, just around this area. And I'm sure they show up in other places too. Let's also see what we have next. And I'm just going to bring up this. Will sort of help get us introduced into the subject. So I'm going to stop screen share for just a moment so I can bring up another one. And this is taken from the Valerian movie. And in the Valerian movie, they have like different planets, different worlds that they go to. And they put these sort of like, I guess, the technology on, because there's a whole other kind of fourth dimensional reality that exists in this. Oh, thank you, Larry. So let me play this little scene and you will see them enter the market. So this is Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Really good movie. So let me just play this for you guys. So anyway, that just gives you guys a taste. So when we look into realities and we look into kind of spectrums of realities and things, we have this 3D world, which, we're in waking consciousness. So when we go to sleep, we think about we're going into the lucid state or the dream world. Now, what happens when we're going into this dream world? And it was even said in, I think it's Marvel movie Doctor Strange #2. There is a quote in that movie that actually says that when we're going into, the dream space, we're actually just tapping into other reality versions of us. So sometimes this is also like when we meet someone or, we have deja vu, that it's something feels like familiar that we've experienced. So I do believe some of their dreams are of us in other realities. What I've noticed with myself and clients is the amount of kind of like those types of dreams has increased greatly over the last 6 months as well. So have a look into your dreams at the moment. Oh, cool. And I can see Mono Black just saying that or Mono Block, that you just watched this yesterday. So yeah, with some of the timeline realities, one thing that sparked this topic tonight was one of my clients. She had, instead of kind of dreaming of other timelines, so if we look at it that this is our normal timeline, so past, present, future, it's what we're programmed, what we're taught. But when I look into readings, what I see is this is the oversoul. So we're currently experiencing Earth life here, but simultaneously we're experiencing life possibly in another reality version of timeline. So it might be the choice that you didn't make. It might be the job you accepted. It might be the marriage partner that you chose in another timeline. All these different kind of potentials, and there's infinite amount of quantum potentials. And they do say this throughout the Marvel movies as well. So when I was looking into a session for a client, she was having quite frequently having dreams of another timeline reality, but every night she would go to the same timeline. So it was her family, but it was like a different set of circumstances. And what Spirit showed me was, and we've talked about this on a couple of the other shows, where we talked a couple of weeks ago about like Rudolf Steiner and what he talked about with the eighth sphere, which is kind of like the heavier, denser astral version of Earth, or where all of our, thought spheres, emotions, and that become magnified. It's where the archons hang out. It's where, entities and different things, hang out and try and harvest loosh. It also is perhaps that, that lower density Earth version that they're trying to bring us into as well. So what I was being shown is that there are some beings, and I don't want to put fear into anyone. You guys are sovereign beings of light, and with this, you have autonomy and you have authority around this stuff happening too. So what we were working with was, you've got like that lower astral energy. You've got us here in the earth realm, and we'll have a look into some models and vague pictures as well. But where we're sort of striving for is this kind of version of like a higher enlightened state of consciousness, or samadhi. So we're really looking to achieve kind of like an enlightened, ego-free consciousness. So what I was being shown was that there were some negative beings that were around in that session that were inserting false, almost like video game levels of reality. So every night there would be this situation of, a fake timeline dream. So imagine going to bed at night, and when you go into it, you're almost plugged into a video game. So really this is about like your sovereignty with your dream space and things too. So have a look into, are you doing protection before you go to bed? Because some of these realities are false, almost like movie-like projections. So I wanted to make sure that we talk about false creatrix or false creation realities, because it's only sort of more lower astral forms that are trying to harvest loose from this. So sometimes there will be nightmare or dream projection. I hadn't seen it where it was like a video game projection before. So that was really, really interesting. And yeah, I can see Larry saying astral travel is real. Definitely. So this was something else besides astral travel. Astral travel is amazing as well. But yeah, it was like this false video game reality. So imagine going to bed every night and you're being plugged into a video game that's designed to keep you distracted. And that's what we're seeing here in this third dimensional reality too, is a lot of the programming and a lot of, things that are projected, whether it's in media or, simulation wise, is false reality. So it's up to us as these individual souls. So if we're looking into the oversoul, so this is about you having multidimensional awareness of other versions of self. Sometimes I do see in sessions where another version of us will come into our consciousness in the earth realm to communicate something, to help kind of give us like cookie crumbs going into like the right directions as well, or giving us like gifts and talents, or letting us know like things that we need to release in order to move higher up into that developed consciousness. So let me just see my next little slide that I have. And this is a tesseract. So I'm just going to pop this up. And this is a hypercube representation of the fourth dimension. If we're applying a tesseract theory to kind of like time travel, it's more of like a fifth dimensional reality, but this is like a 4D representation of it. So let me just play this for you guys. I'm just going to bring it back. It's not letting me bring it. Go with it. So this is not just, it's hypercube fourth dimension. So you can see, it's a cube within a cube, but we've got infinite reality. And the next one we have, this is a little clip that comes from, this one is from A Wrinkle in Time. So I literally wrote down a list. For those of you that are into sci-fi, I wrote you guys a list of movies that you might want to watch too. So let me just go through them. You can rewind and go back over this later and take notes. But the one with Jet Li. So when I was describing before that oversoul energy, so Jet Li in the one is a character, and he goes in to assassinate each other version of self. So the idea being that he would have or harness all of this soul power, or this kind of like, I guess, it's Hollywood, so it's about fighting and about winning and about amassing power. But if we think about working together with these other versions of self and kind of falling or collapsing timelines, there's no reason that we couldn't influence more positive intention and have more power in this timeline and really kind of steer the show. So we will be talking about what you can do. And I do have a little gift for you guys at the end of the show as well. So yeah, the one is the Jet Li one. There's Everything Everywhere All at Once. And for those of you that grew up in the 80s and 90s like myself, Bill and Ted's. So I heard rumors that there was like going to be a Bill and Ted's number 3, which would be most excellent, to quote from the Bill and Ted movies. We also have The Matrix, which is really interesting because in The Matrix, we see the plug at the back of their skulls, which is gates of consciousness points in acupuncture. So really interesting that they plug in to the gates of consciousness. For those of you that grew up with Barbie, you might like to see the new Barbie movie. It's a little bit different to what you expect, but it's kind of like Barbie in the Matrix. So definitely a different take on it. I do recommend it though, just to have a look. I see a few of you guys getting my joke. I haven't thought of that saying in years. Stranger Things, which I'm such a chicken. I haven't even watched season 2 because I've been too scared. I don't want to watch it by myself. Doctor Strange 1 and 2. So in this, we see things of portals. We also see in the second one that the dark entity, like the Scarlet Witch, she can use water or reflections to pull her arm and grab people through. So we do know that mirrors are portals. We know that water is a portal as well. So there's like little truth bombs that are hidden in this. And we do have where they're using mandalas as well to open up time gates and portals and things. And in certain native cultures in America, you also see where they draw symbols or signs to affect 3D reality. So there's little bits of truth. Yeah, Doctor Strange, I love it. I need to finish watching the second one again. I've watched the first one a few times, but A Wrinkle in Time, where they talk about Tesseract technology, and I will play this for you in a moment because it is to do with time travel. We also see Tesseract technology in Interstellar. The OA demonstrates, and I had this come up in a session years ago now. So I don't know those of you if you've seen the OA. It's on Netflix, but it's this girl that has near-death experience, and so do all these other people. It's a little bit weird and convoluted, but they find that breath and dance and movement invokes or opens kind of like portals or different timelines and things. And it was interesting because I had a client and I saw visions of her doing this. And I'm like, you're opening up like other timelines and different realities and portals. And she like slapped her hand to her face and she's like, oh my God, I just went and did a class on this. And she's like, I've been doing it all weekend. I can't believe that you saw this. And I'm like, you're actually doing it. There is some truth behind what you're doing. And then I said, there's a movie or a series that's based on that. And she's like, yeah, it's exactly like that. So Doctor Who and Loki and the Time Lords as well. And I can see Julie watched that one as well. Yeah, it's really interesting. Second season was like a little bit slower. But yeah, Wrinkle in Time, the book is apparently really good. Oh, and there is Star Trek as well. There's an episode. I might play a clip from it tonight. I have it, but it's like very low, like 90s quality. But it does talk about false light and soul traps. So that's what we have to be aware of when we're traversing these timelines or astral traveling is these kind of computer programs that are inserted to stop us reaching higher levels. We have to be aware of loosh harvesting, of like negative or false light, of things that don't love us unconditionally. Season 3. So his Dark Materials. I've been watching season 2. Interesting. And I was thinking about putting that one on here too, because it does have interesting things. So we also have Monsters Inc., where they harvest loosh too. So that is one page out the way. Let's play this Tesseract one. Okay, so this is the presenting the Tesseract theory from A Wrinkle in Time. So it's where they get a little bit more into the science side of it.
So, what if we are here for a reason? What if we are not just in the universe, but the universe is within all of us?
Think about quantum entanglement. Two electrons, once bonded together, love, if you will, suddenly separated by a galaxy, but somehow still just as connected. An unbroken union despite being galaxies apart.
And our most recent calculations show us that these fields connect us to other dimensions. Dimensions outside of the limitations of space and time. Imagine that. Imagine. Rather than enduring the oppressive rules of time and space, we could wrinkle it. 91 billion light years traveled. Like that.
So This one I do highly recommend. And, even though it's filled with some characters that are questionable, in Hollywood, it is good to look into the little Easter eggs and the things that are sometimes hidden within this. And let me just bring up another one. So I'm just deciding which one to play first because I have a couple. I want to bring this up actually. Let me show you this. So we did talk about the Vedic side of things a few weeks ago when we talked about Vimanas and ships and things like this. So I'm just see if this can get a little bit bigger. This is as big as it's allowing it. But we've got the Vedic and Hindu cosmology reference. So right in the center, and we talked about this weeks ago, we have Mount Meru. So this being over near the Himalaya or in the Himalayan mountains, and being like a point of kind of like a high magnetic energy, being kind of the center of our earth realm going into the universe. So we see all these different levels. So there's always, whenever you look at it in different theosophies and different, spiritual religions, there's always a wanting to move up in level of consciousness as well. So let me just bring up something else. So I have a few other little clips. Let me just see. Oh, and this one. So this is a quote from me. So there are two worlds now. Be the light that you know that you were born to be. So this is also a big reason for why I wanted to talk about this show tonight, because, we are anchoring and choosing our higher timelines. So really, really important. And I'm just checking, we'll go to another one. So really, really important to put your energy, your intention towards a trajectory of some kind. So getting super, super clear on what it is that you want to achieve or establish in this lifetime, where it is that you want to move towards as well. And you'll find many other different references to models of reality from the Vedic system. There was another one, I don't think I have it on here, from the Navajo system as well. And we see it in Viking culture. Thank you. That's so sweet. So lovely to experience like all the love here as well. Oh, I'm going to have to go back and have a look for some of these fairies. Thank you, fairies, for joining us. So let me just bring up another window and we'll have a look into this one here. I want to show you guys, which is from Doctor Strange. So you'll see where he actually gets taken into other dimensions and other time realities, him and the character America. So yeah, that was a cool one. And let me just bring up the next one that I'll show you. I want to sort of set the scene first. So we did talk about the Star Trek one. So I'm totally like absorbed in the subject. So I've been missing all these little fairies. I'm going to have to go back and watch. So yeah, with this Star Trek one, where we were talking before and the other week about the 8th sphere and about like harvesting loosh and things. So we have heard stories of Earth in modern day terms being referred to as the prison planet, or that there's some kind of like a soul harvest or a soul trap or a soul net. So keep this in mind when I show you this little clip around trickery. So let me bring this up. And so, this is about escaping illusion too, and waking up within the dream. So this character is being shown, oops, hold on a sec, is being shown almost like a dream type scenario or situation.
You created all these hallucinations, haven't you?
This is what my species does. At the moment, just before death, one of us comes to help you understand what's happening, to make the crossing over an occasion of joy.
And what is that?
Our matrix, where your consciousness will live. I was being truthful when I said it was a place of wonder. It can be whatever you want it to be.
Then why didn't you tell me this from the beginning? Why pretend to be my father?
Usually people are comforted to see their loved ones. It makes the crossing over a much less fearful occasion. I've done this many times, but I've never encountered someone so resistant.
Something's happening. The alien presence is getting stronger again. Fight it, Catherine. Fight it just a little longer. I'll have to try a boron pulse.
My people are telling me to fight. They're trying to save me.
They're trying out of desperation. It's hopeless.
Really sounds desperate. I don't get the feeling they're trying to make me comfortable. You're only interested in my agreeing to come with you.
Because it's inevitable.
And you don't strike me as any kind of good Samaritan. You're more like a vulture, preying on people at the moment of their death when they're most vulnerable.
I've waited for you. I've been patient.
But your patience is wearing thin. What's the real reason you want me in that matrix? Somehow I don't think it has anything to do with everlasting joy.
You must go with me.
If you could force me to go, you've done it already. You need me to agree, don't you? I have to go voluntarily.
Wouldn't that be better than standing here in this endless debate?
Let me tell you this. We can stand here for all eternity, and I will never choose to go with you.
You're in a dangerous profession, Captain. You face death every day. There'll be another time, and I'll be waiting. Eventually, you'll come into my matrix. And you will nourish me for a long, long time.
Go back to hell.
Okay, so we can see there that those negative entities feed off Lush. So if we look into Monsters Inc. and we look into other ones, but yeah, that is a great episode of Star Trek. I know it is an older one, but really, there's so many truths hidden in plain sight in a lot of these movies. And I saw as well a few of you talking about the fairies. So I picked some cards. So yeah, let's have a look into the 5 cards that I've got to see what the fairies also want to bring us. So we have Ace of Wands, the 9 of Disc, the Chariot, the Emperor, and the Portal of Change. This is actually, they're joining us here tonight because we're talking about coming into empowerment. And we're also looking at opening up higher timeline potential. So a really beautiful message coming in from the fairies tonight. And I've got a little fairy deck here as well. So we will also pull from that, but you can see the Chariot and the Emperor. So we are protected. We are moving forward into a positive timeline, and they will be part of this timeline as well. So that's really exciting. So 2 of Disc, positive change. I always see this as a portal that we can jump and run through. And I can see Tim saying, Beltane is portal time. And I think it was Jake also referencing Beltane's coming out too. So let's have a look into a card. And so we have the Spirit Familiar, seek loving connections and cherish friendships. So these are from the, and I've got another one, the Soothsayer, travel the road seldom taken. So this could also be about timelines and paths and things that we're talking to. And yeah, thank you, fairies. So lovely to have them as part of our show and part of our reality. And they're so excited that we're seeing them again too. That's the other thing, like the excitement and the love coming from them. So let's have a look in what we have next. Just making sure. And I want to do cards also around like why Spirit wants to talk about this. And I did wake up with the echoing thought collapsing timeline. So that was like literally in my consciousness waking up this morning, just echoing over and over again until I wrote it down. And then Spirit sort of relaxed around that. But yeah, we do have the gateway. I've got part of that we will also go through. I do remember when I was really little, and I've talked about this, I think, on another show, having visions around or having experiences around void space. So we did do a show, I think it was Black Holes. I may have spoken a little bit about this too. But yeah, so there's many different ways that we can kind of time travel or tap into these timelines and things. So I just want to set this one up for you guys. This is from A Wrinkle in Time as well. And it's where Meg is describing Ant on a String. So it's literally just describing time travel and how tesseracts work.
What's a tesseract?
Oh. Do you really want to know? Okay. Oh, got a string. There's the ant. Okay, so imagine the ant here wants to get to our other hand.
We use the usual 4 dimensions, 3 spatial ones,
Length, width, and height.
in the 4th dimension, time. The ant's quickest option is to walk across a string, right?
Right.
But it turns out a straight line is not the shortest distance between 2 points. Not if you use the 5th dimension.
5th dimension.
Dimension outside of the rules most people know, time and space. See? The ant arrives in my other hand instantaneously.
So you fold space.
Kinda. Fold time. Well, more like wrinkle time.
So I highly recommend that one. There is lots of hidden gems and moments in that. And I have heard that the book is perhaps even better, but I haven't had time to read that. So I've also written, there was a show that I did on my channel maybe about a year or two ago now with Gary King. So he has a channel called 1111 Matrix Decoded. Now he receives a lot of downloads and information from Spirit, getting him to put things into gematria. He decodes the numbers like an amazing, amazing person, really beautiful soul. But yeah, what was interesting was we both get the message around 333, and you might have seen me wear a 333 pendant at different times. So with this, I do believe that there are guardians that are looking out for us in this simulated reality or matrix. I don't feel that it's always allowed, that they're allowed to kind of like interfere or sort of throw us onto, give us too much information going forward. It's like we're meant to work this stuff out ourselves. But occasionally you will have, like with, dreams or different visions, or even like waking up at 333 or seeing on the clock. I do see this as a message of like guardians wishing to talk to us. And I also had talking around like, they're talking about collapsing the timeline and things. And that was the message Spirit was also really giving me around the show for tonight, is that we can actually collapse timelines within us as well. Oh, and I can see AM also saying that you've been seeing 333 a lot, which is cool. So yeah, if you are seeing 333, to me, this is a specific number code to do with guardians that are trying to help us on this timeline adventure in this simulated reality. Let me just see what else we have. We're just talking about my little notes as well. So it's important to purify, to do, protection, cleansing, things like this. In some of these dreams or visions, we're also seeing like shadow aspects as well. We talked about the false light entities and things like that can also come in and harvest loosh from that little Star Trek clip. So I've got a little note to do with samadhi. So, and hopefully I'm saying that right. So samadhi emerges in us. So when we think about reaching a state of enlightenment or escaping all of these timelines, a lot of this is to do more kind of like with the inverse or like our inner universe. So if we break it down into physics and things, and we look at the particle and the wave, and I didn't bring up any slides around this, but it's more that when we're trying to manifest or open a certain timeline, we need to become less particle and more wave. And what I mean by this is, when we look into like the 3D dynamic side of things, so if we look into us and our aura, if you break it down onto a physical level, we're just a tablespoon of matter. So when I'm reading auras, I'm reading the energy field on things that are about to come in or things that we're quantumly entangled with. So all these colors that I see and the different textures and all the things that you guys have in your auras, you're able to tap into these frequencies to read them. So just like when we're manifesting, we can also bring up certain frequencies. So it's really to have a relaxed kind of feel with the timeline that you're wanting to manifest. So to become less physical, less particle. So if I also talk about the anatomy of this, looking into our aura, our quantum field, and I love the work that Sabrina Wallace does. She talks about how some of the darker side of things are harvesting energy or using our auric field to implement certain things. I won't go into it too far, but there is certain things that have been connected down our auric fields or within our bodies, things that have been sprayed. You guys get what I'm talking about. So with this, we also have to be conscious and aware that some of these things or voice to skull technology can also be synthetic. So we're really purging energetically synthetic things at the moment is really important in order to get onto a pure or a higher timeline. So luckily with our audience here at Mace on Jupiter, you guys all do the work, you all do protection, so we're less likely to see negative things in that as well, or if we do, there's a lot of growth that needs to that comes from it. So with talking about like our physical mechanics and how we as both kind of like everything exists as frequency in this universe, if we set it that way. So the way that we quantumly entangle or work with frequencies or adjusting or jumping or quantum jumping onto higher timelines is if we close our eyes, and I'll kind of paint the scene for you guys. So thinking about your pineal gland. On top of that pineal gland is a fleshy little tuning fork. So this is called our quantum transducer. So the pineal gland is made out of piezoelectric crystals. So it's both a receiver and a sender. So we can bring or receive things in from that quantum field, or if you're wanting to visualize a different timeline or manifest things, it's really important that you get out of the 3D. So we want to get out of physical particle state when we're manifesting. We want to attune our little quantum antenna and our higher spiritual senses to the wave or vibration of these alternate timelines and frequencies. And I do want to kind of like specify too that if something is totally like out of the question, so for example, if we're talking about, we're wanting to manifest something, but our character, our story, or like where we're born, or kind of there's logistics and things that just would not line up for that to happen. When we're talking about like jumping timelines and things, it still has to be within realistic aspect or kind of like within reality. Now, remember, reality is a little bit looser than what we've been told, or there's different spectrums of reality. And that's why we have the fairies, show up on this show too. So say, for example, if I'm wanting to, I'm trying to think of a good example of something that I couldn't have or couldn't achieve. Say, for example, it's like wanting to, I did hear her name, I think, is Mona Cad, or it starts with a K. She's Canadian, I think, or lives in Canada, but she did talk about, say, for example, I think the example she used was, say you're born in Korea, but you want to be like the president of America. That literally cannot happen in your timeline because you're born in the wrong country. So you have to have something that would be realistic, was something she said. That was a really good example. So with this and this equipment and getting into vibrational alignment, what really helps is, and we'll go into a little bit with the gateway technique too. So with the gateway technique, I'll read to you a little bit in that in a moment. But yeah, if we're looking into our pineal being the quantum transducer, if we get into a dualistic brain approach or a whole brain approach, which you can do through hemisync, this calms both sides of the brain and brings them together as a whole. So you're increasing your calm, kind of like theta or deeper brain waves. So this is part of becoming wave and less particle. So it's helping us to kind of climb up that ladder of consciousness. So this would be a perfect time to insert like another timeline reality, and do stay to the end because I have a gift that will help you do that. So let me just see what I've drawn in my little picture. You can see my little diagram of this. So with this, you also then want to bring it down. And because our heart magnifies this, if you can engage or work with brain-heart coherence to visualize or feel the outcome of the timeline that you want, this heart field also extends. Some people say even up to 3 meters out, which I'm not sure what that is in like yards or whatever kind of distance you want to translate it into. But we also have this electromagnetic quality of the heart too. So if we're talking about electromagnetic energy engaging or getting us into frequency, we're getting into heart-brain coherence around this, and we're using that quantum transducer. So essentially, what this looks like to the mind and to the consciousness is not forcing something to happen. It's dropping into this space where we almost get out of body, would be the feeling, and we're kind of floating in the quantum. So then what happens is we want to like spiritually and energetically quantumly entangle ourselves with this higher timeline. So what this means is, what does that higher timeline version of me feel like? And the more you can bring that into the heart, the more that this activates this electromagnetic quantum field. So we have this beautiful pericardium, water-filled fluid, plasma-filled sac around the heart too. And you guys know this is the fourth state of matter. So there's a psycho-spiritual physical interaction happening within us and within the energy field that we're entangling with when we're actually timeline jumping. So let me just see. So I've written that this is about getting out of your programs as well. So if we're thinking about what might be preventing us, and I don't really want you guys to focus when we're talking about like getting out of illusional creatrix realities or false matrix realities and things like that, don't think so much about the block. Because a lot of the new age and spiritual community is focused on, oh, I've got blocks that I need removing, or like, this is like a pattern that just consistently comes up, because the universe will show you more evidence for why that block is fixed and stuck, or why, more people keep coming in exuding the same behavioral patterns. So, yeah. I do feel that it is important to get outside of that timeline, outside of that story. It is good to do a clearing around it, like 1 or 2 times to purge it, or to see if there is like a legitimate thing kind of holding us back. So yeah, disconnect from old stories. The other thing too that I think it's important, if we're thinking about a little kind of like channel to do with our consciousness and in our day-to-day waking reality, what we will see when we're kind of shifting or jumping timelines and things like that, you'll have, fears, doubts, and belief systems that could be blocking us from going up into these higher levels or layers of consciousness. So we really need to move beyond fears. We need to move beyond doubts. We need to move beyond pre-programmed blueprints that may have come ancestrally or from parents or from programs. So essentially, if we're looking at it from a matrix point of view, we're purging these programs. So we need to kind of download into these gates of consciousness, how he connects in the series, to download jujitsu. So we need to sort of not think about that we don't know jujitsu and focus on kind of like integrating or taking that in energetically, if you guys catch my drift. So I'm just having a look. So yeah, there's a lot that you can look at to do with like particle theory and different quantum realities and things like that. Some of my favorite teachers on this subject, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Nassim Harriman as well. So when we're also looking into getting into or jumping into a different timeline, this is also if we look at, say, guitar strings. I've got a little pencil here that Lyra's chewed up. She fetches it like a dog. So say, for example, we'll use the chewed up one as the current timeline. And then we have the golden one representing that timeline that we wish to choose. So when we're thinking about it from our fixed thoughts, beliefs, and old programs and things of the chewed pencil, it's very hard to imagine being this gold pen. So we actually have to kind of do away with the old programming, the old belief system, fears and doubts and things like that, and start to get into a quantum entanglement of what it feels like to be the gold pen. So we need to start vibrating on this. We need to get out of this physical body, drop that particle and get into a wave. So the wave will allow us to sort of step more into feeling or experiencing the energy unfold with this. So when I'm doing an aura reading for you guys at the start of your readings that you book, we're actually seeing the golden pen come in. So I'm helping you to anchor that, helping you to tap more into these realities and to get a lot of information come out and how to solidify this a bit more. So yeah, we have to unbecome all of the programming. So this is essentially like forming a new character as well. So with this too, let me just see if there's anything else. So yeah, we're collapsing the old timelines, we're collapsing old characters. So think about like what this means for you guys as well. Does this mean like you need to give yourself like a new kind of character? What's the script? What's the belief system that this character has? Thank you guys. Yeah, hopefully that's sort of explaining it a little bit more. The other way to describe it, I think I have talked about this in other shows too. So if we're talking about like escaping these timeline realities, and even though I say the word escaping, it's kind of collapsing them so that they no longer exist too. Oh, and I see Larry say become the fifth element as well. Thanks, Tim. So say, for example, this is the GPS programming of where we're currently at, this beautiful little apophyllite crystal, but we want to turn into the amethyst, so that's the final destination of what we want in terms of timeline or reality. Or say, for example, this is like, let's use relationship. So we might have this current timeline story around not feeling enough, or looking outside of self to validate or for self-worth, or not feeling worthy and deserving of love. And so what happens is you might accept less than, you might attract people, but they might reflect your fears, your belief systems, or your state of value that you see yourself at. So in order to get to the higher timeline, or the timeline of like where you do have, you know, an amazing, beautiful, monogamous soulmate relationship, for example, we do need to up the level of value and self-worth, because this version of self would not be playing the same tapes and the programs and things too. So for example, we've got current GPS location, future one. So just like you would program it into your car to get to that destination, we need to first visualize it. So it's like, oh yeah, I want to actually like drive to Sedona this weekend. So I'm going to like visualize and see myself immersed in like vortexes and red dirt and crystal shops and everything else. And then all of a sudden it's so visual, it gives me the coordinates and I can put that in. So it's almost like you need to feel it, you need to believe it before it can unfold on the 3D. So the gas or the fuel to get there would be the emotion. So we have all this equipment within us. It's super important to really be working with getting out of the body, out of the old story, feeling and bringing it in to the future. So, or bring the future into the now. So let me just check in. So I want to read to you guys. There's a little bit more around. So you guys can download this. So this, I think, was released. I've got approved for release. The 9th of the 10th, 2003. I think it might have been written in like 1980 something. Oh, 1983. It's dated and documented. So this is all around the analysis and assessment of the gateway process too. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm very visual. So yeah, that's the way I understand it. So essentially, we're becoming less particle, more wave. So you want to dance with this frequency of this future version with self. The other thing too is we want to, if we look at it in terms of magic, and in magic, they have the term of creating a partition. So for example, if we're in this state and we're trying to manifest this timeline, you know, we can't sort of just jump and shift into this one from the state that we're feeling now. So what we need to do is kind of like, you know, shake that out, let it go. But we also need to, whether it's putting on music and dancing, we need to do something to be outside of the ordinary, to really pull in a higher energy charge. So we're accumulating more energy, which means that we have more of kind of like a dynamic way of pulling in another timeline too. So that is also a really important thing. So you can do this through candles, through magic, through really just tapping into that other version of self too. Oh, and I can see a really great question around, does karma have any part in this as well? So, all of this is also structured to do with belief systems. So there's lots of different things that are all based on frequency that we use as guides. So tarot cards, for example, they actually are a tool that help to like extract or to read things that are going on in the subconscious mind. And even numerology would be a different expression of that. So whether we're receiving visions clairvoyantly like I do, that's me reading and getting visuals on frequency, and on the waves that are being put out or broadcast in the universe. And the same with like remote viewing and things, we can tune into that radio station or frequency to see things. So yeah, astrology would be another one. So numerology would be kind of like the number version of that frequency and how it's translated. Astrology would be how the planets represent the frequency. So you could get a numerology reading and an astrology reading saying the same thing, but they're both deducing down the frequencies. And the same like with the tarot cards and with, my readings and things too. I'm just helping to make sense of the frequencies. So sometimes it will come up to clear past life stuff, karmic sides of things too. But when we move beyond this, we're collapsing those timelines, we're collapsing those belief systems around karma. So, when we hear about like voodoo or dark magic, things like this, there will be people that really have that belief system that, will experience the negative outcomes of that. But we have heard stories of people that don't have that as a belief system that have, avoided certain things like that too, just to kind of put it into different terms. So I do have here, and you'll see that there's like various different examples of being in different time space reality. So I know you guys have heard me talk about like with the brain. So the right side of the brain is the one that's more imaginative, more creative. It's the one that works better too, because it's not in the logic when it comes to timeline things. So the more that you can work on boosting your imagination, stepping into, all this creative side of things too. And I can see Jake saying through hypnosis as well. So hypnosis, rapid resolution therapy, different like QHT, I think it's called, hypnosis sessions. You can tap into these different timelines and read the frequencies. This is the Akashic records as well. So, and Britt is spot on. All is frequency. So I've got here time, space, dimension. So I'm just going to read like a couple of little things that I've highlighted for you guys, and I will eventually get a show done around this whole, I'll break it down and make sense in a very visual way, because some of this is hard to absorb. So up till this point, our discussion of the gateway process has been relatively simple and easy to follow. Now the fun begins. Gateway involves more than just the perception of those aspects of the universal hologram. So remember, we talk about the micro and the macro, and we went into that a little bit with the blood last week too. So reflexology would be a holographic version of the whole body. So this is talking about the hologram. So the universal hologram, which can be accessed in the dimension of time space as we know it. To explain how we can access this dimension of time space is why the human consciousness can be brought to transcend the limitations of time space. So in this next task, this must be addressed. So this is in order to understand time and space is to understand how the dimensions that constitute can be transcended. So this is all connected to what we're talking about. So physicists define time as a measurement of energy or a force in motion. So in other words, it is a measurement of change. However, in order for energy to be in motion, it must first be limited some way within the confines of some sort of vibrational or vibrationary pattern, so that its confinement gives the capacity for being contained in a specific location of which it is distinguishable from the other dimensions. So without the limitations of form, it is infinity, and it cannot move there, because nothing beyond infinity, and there is therefore outside of our dimension of time. So it is beyond space and time, because the concept implies the specific energy of form is limited to a specific location. So in absence from other locations, but if the energy is the state of infinity, there are no boundaries, no here to differentiate from there. No sense of area. Energy is infinite, means energy uniformly extended without limit. So it is no beginning, no end, no location. It is the conscious force, the fundamental primal power existed without form. So the state of infinite being. So if we're looking into this, and we've talked about plasma being one of the four states of reality and things too, and we're looking into consciousness, we're looking to falling into this void space. Now, where spirit shows me that we exit, or how we can leave this matrix, is all through the crystals in the pineal, the crystals in the ears. For 20 something years, spirit has called this the gateway. And, with this little number that we were talking about before with 333, what spirit's been showing me is, if we learn to activate this is how we sort of take ourselves out of the matrix, so to speak. And the other thing that I wanted to share too, just having a vision around, like a flashback to when I was about 20, which is a long time ago now. But I remember reading the book, God, I Am. And it talks about God exists in all things, all states at once. We can call this spirit or universe, or if we're looking at it as frequency. So this means that you can be here in the body, and we showed this in the Krishna pics on the Vedic series that we did a few weeks ago, or the Vedic episode. But what happened when I was reading this book, I started to kind of feel my consciousness within me, but also within the bird that was flying over. I felt my consciousness at the same time within the trees, within the sky, within the land. So play around with this. See if you can expand your consciousness to feeling not just within your body. And this will help you to kind of break out of that illusional reality that we're just in one place, because we are in multiple timelines all at once, as well as existing in everything. So there's an aspect of God or the universe that's within us, that's also within all these things. And this show will probably go a little bit longer tonight. So as well here, just having a look if there's energy. So energy in this state of intact infinity is termed by physicists as energy as the absolute state. So simply the absolute. So between the absolute and the material universe, so the absolute would be sort of like those higher states, and the material universe is where we experience our physical existence and various intervening dimensions to which human consciousness is altered states the being may gain access. So theoretically, human consciousness may continue to expand the horizons of the perceptual capability until it reaches the dimension of absolute, to which at the point of perception stops, because the absolute generates no holograms of or about itself. So that's a really, really interesting one. We've got intervening dimensions in here. We also have where it talks about subatomic particles. I did underline as well. This is a little thing on Alice, because you guys know I love Alice in Wonderland. So human consciousness passes through the looking glass of time-space after the fashion of Alice beginning her journey into Wonderland, the gateway experience, with its associated hemisync technique. So using that meditation for the whole brain approach to put you into Zen-like state. So it's apparently designed, if used systematically and patiently, to enable human consciousness to establish a coherent pattern. So if we're talking about frequency again, we don't want a signal that's like all over the place. We want to bring the brain into coherence so that we're more likely to be able to direct and to harness this frequency of this other timeline. So as well, this also talks about holds true irrespective of whether the individual is exercising his consciousness while his physical body, or whether he is doing so after having separated the consciousness from the physical body. So yeah, it just talked about like Alice's journey into Wonderland and things. What we also see too is the absolute to infinity. So we can see the absolute infinity here, and I've highlighted energy. I think it says oscillation and a wave. So we can see here too, it's got like different, let me just flip this around to read it, what I've written. So I put, so brain waves can turn into a particle. So what we will see as well is, you know how I said before, it's like becoming less particle. So with the brain waves, we're actually becoming more wave, and we're starting to kind of dance with this frequency, and then that will anchor into a particle. So we're not pushing from the 3D particle state, we're actually more getting into that quantum entanglement, and that will manifest and turn into a physical reality or particle energy. So anyway, let's have a look into like what spirit wants to tell us around this. There's so much more that we could get into, but we just don't have enough time. So yeah, we talked a little bit about escaping, Maya or illusional realities as well. Let's have a look into to see what else. Oh, so Rudolf Steiner also said that we will see reality from the level of consciousness that we're at too. So this is also why some people come in like savants, or they come in knowing how to play music and things of this sort of nature, or they come in, I was always told when I was sort of late teens that with my gifts and abilities to see, that I'd worked really, really hard in other lifetimes to get to that state, and where it's just born sort of like naturally as well. So let me see. We have different layers and different substances. So like physical, etheric, surrendering our input helps us to reach these states of samadhi, or these higher states of consciousness. So this is that message that Spirit's given us over the last 2 shows or last 2 weeks. We've talked about really trying to limit the amount of input, or kind of like the online side of things that, that we're absorbing information wise, because Spirit's really trying to give us like downloads and things as well. Thanks, guys. That's so sweet. So let's have a look and see what we have. All right, what does Spirit want us to know as this beautiful Mason Jupiter audience around stepping into higher timelines and things? So we had a few cards fall out face up, and I will read these straight up. So we have my timelines card. So 6 of Cups for me. This is where we were talking before about the oversoul. So there's different timelines, the word they're giving me is bridges that we can tap into. So what they're wanting us to focus on with this timeline show is actually creating a whole new beginning. So Ace of Disc is that hand of God or the universe handing us something to bring down or anchor. So Spirit's actually wanting us to come into, this is hilarious. This is my card that represents Neo in the Matrix when he realizes the bullet's coming at him. He's like, it's not even real, doesn't even exist. It's like nothing to him. So they're actually trying to get us to be the driver or the pilot in this timeline. So everything that we've talked about tonight, and I know it's a lot, like a bit of an in-depth subject, so it could be good to kind of rewatch or take notes to work out how we become like less particle, more wave as well. Yeah, that's what it feels like. They're wanting us to anchor our highest timeline. We have the card of completion as well. And we also have Prince of Swords. So 4 of Wands is spiritual alignment. It is a beautiful connection or marriage card traditionally. It's called the card of completion in this, but it's Venus and Aries. And we have the Prince of Swords. So with this is also really important what we speak, we create. So we see here we're planting the seed or the belief system in this octahedron. So an octahedron is in Platonic solids related to air. So when we speak something into this shape in particular, or into this particle, and particles are known to exist in between an octahedron. So right in the center, this is somewhat some people describe that a particle looks like it has that kind of energy field around it too. So we're speaking things into creation. There's the harvest tool or the scythe right there as well. So yeah, interesting. Let's get a few clarifiers to also see. And I'm just getting tingles in my left hand too. So I actually feel like if we ask for information as to how to do this as well, yeah, let's do a part 2 on this. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And I would be interested to see like where spirit goes, like in the direction of this. Thank you guys. I really appreciate this. And so we have 5 of the star cards. So we have adjustment, also known as the justice card. Spirit's literally saying we have to make a decision, or many of us on this channel have made the decision already, but we have 2 timelines, 2 alternate frequencies that are vibrating right now. And I do actually feel the fairy energy with this, wanting us to come into this higher timeline of where they're part of our reality again too. So we have the justice card, which is also known as the card of the woken undead, which has said that we can never force anyone into awakening. They have to come at it of their own accord. So talking about topics and things like this, we're planting these beautiful little seeds into our consciousness to expand our reality. We see the Knight of Pentacles, which, you know, there's still a little bit that we need to move forward around. We will see some that are still stuck in that 5 of Wands energy, that state of reality. And we do see like a little bit of grief with this. This is also Sagittarius and Leo energy. So, you know, there could still be people break free from that. And we've got a 2 of Wands, which literally looks like 2 timelines with the sun activating. Pretty amazing, hey? And the next card that we have is 9 of Cups. This is Pleiadian energy. It represents hope. We just see so much beautiful energy coming with this. So no matter what, it looks like that we're anchoring this higher timeline, even if there's a lot of distraction or even perhaps a bit of death and things like that around with this. And they just wanted me to pull. Oh, the other thing I had to talk about that really is super important around this is archetypal energy. And I've got the Caroline Mace archetype cards. We probably won't pull one of these tonight because everyone's so individual, but I just wanted to mention about you guys embodying this archetype. So say, for example, we don't usually wake up, you know, overnight, like with the work that I do, where I feel that I'm at now was not where I felt when I started. So, you know, this is about embodying a certain archetype will help you unfold on a timeline as well. So I had to mention that. And let's go into the Mythos Tarot and see what comes up. These beautiful Greek gods and goddesses around what Spirit wanted us to know around these timelines. They keep saying collapsing the old timeline. So it's almost like not letting our attention or energy even get tapped in to that which we do not want to experience. We're collapsing that. And we're really sort of seeing almost this golden glowing future timeline, but we're bringing it into the now, just as we had the amethyst crystal. So let's flip this over. We've got the sun. So the sun is ushering us into a higher timeline as well. We also see some, wow, they gave us quite a few cards. The sun, the 4 of Wands again. So the sun is helping to bring us into a completion stage to do with the epoch or the timeline that we're on. We have the 9 of Wands, which is strength, and the Queen of Wands. So we must be really strong. We must be fearless, and we must fully embrace and embody this beautiful sun energy that the Queen of Wands has. So she's very regal, but as an archetype, she believes in herself 120%, if not even more. She literally looks fear in the face and doesn't even blink. So this is about getting so super strong and ingrained on your timeline. We have the High Priestess and the 3 of Coins. So we see it's the Mother, the Maiden, the Crone. 3 of Coins for me is the gateway card, and it's about getting out of our reality too, or out of this matrix or simulated reality to channel or draw, like the High Priestess would, the messages. So Spirit is literally wanting us to to get out of body in a way to tap into receiving information from these guardians. And we always check in to make sure that they love us unconditionally as well. So with this, we see King of Cups. This is not to forget the emotional aspect with this. So yeah, been a really interesting show. Love this topic. Could probably go into a second one. I do at some point want to do the gateway as well. So let me just bring up this little thing that I have for you guys. And I'm just going to play this. I do have this on my YouTube channel, and it's a little gift that I have for you guys that I made. This was before the soul, or before like the eclipse season started. So this is celestial higher timeline. So this will help you, like if you guys like to have binaural beats in the background to get the monkey mind to shut off a little bit. It will help you to kind of visualize or feel into these higher timelines. I'm just going to play this so you get a sense of what it sounds like.
Like you would before going off to sleep. Just feeling your body start.
If you're over 35, around 95% of who you are is a memorized set of...
With me shutting my laptop.
That's right. Relaxing. Feeling your body tingle and mount into awareness of your energy.
So you'll find that over on my YouTube channel, and that is just a little present for you guys wanting to jump onto another timeline. Oh, so that last deck that I had is the Greek Mythos Tarot. So here is what the back of it looks like. And this one I think you can get online. I got it from like our version of Walmart over here, Big W, I think was where I got it. So a lot of bookshops and things will also have this. And I also just wanted to remind you guys, we have finished the Mother's Day sale that we had on Maison Jupiter, but we still have gift cards and things like that. So it's not too late if you still need a present. We also have the beautiful candles as well that Elena has. So Sophie and I both have the gift cards. Please use Jupiter in all caps to receive 10% off too. So plenty of ideas over there. And yeah, please do like, share, and subscribe. We love it when you hit that thumbs up or leave us an emoji, but I so appreciate all your beautiful messages, and I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Let me know like what you think in the comments too, and enjoy the meditation, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the higher timeline. All right, sending you lots of love. I'll see you next week.